We are going to tell a story. Our story. An authentic African story that is positive, aspirational, and from this day forward, young players everywhere on the continent can have ambitious, aspirational dreams they can fulfill without having to leave Africa.
Outside of the States, this is the first time that the NBA has operated a league. First time. Talent is what brings us here.
The dream was always there. Not only is it giving an opportunity to people here on the continent, but the connection of the people in America who don't know their roots to be able to come back. And one thing that we are going to have in common is basketball. But the history and the meaning behind what's going on here is so much bigger than that.
We want all these young Africans to dream about being a Jordan Embiid. We want them to dream to being Giannis. But with the BAL, we're not just making dreams, we are changing lives.
This is a life-changing moment for everyone involved, for the players, for the coaches, for everyone. This is massive.
J. Cole is switching gears to basketball. He's going to be playing in the Basketball Africa League.
The African continent is incredibly diverse, but everybody still feels African. We won't even appreciate right now what it's going to mean for kids, for generations to come. It's going to outlive all of us.
You can feel your heart vibrating every time you put your foot on the continent.
The talent is immense. The Africans, they're not just coming, they've arrived.
The Basketball Africa League is going to be one of the best professional leagues on earth. Africa, we are here. Day one.
We are about to start the first BAL Basketball Africa League. 12 teams from 12 African countries. You're talking about different languages, different cultures, different regions. It gives me goosebumps to think that this is actually happening.
It is now time for the start of the Basketball Africa League.
The highly anticipated launch of the Basketball Africa League is expected to get started later this year. The International Basketball Federation FIBA and American Pro League NBA partnered to set up the Continental African competition.
I think it's the first time that African basketball is going to be at that global scale, and to be playing at that level, it gives us a big platform to showcase their talent.
Je m'appelle Lamine Diop. Je suis joueur à l'AS Douanes au Sénégal. Je suis un joueur de basket en même temps, je suis un professeur d'éducation physique. Enseigner, c'est très important pour moi parce que si on ne m'avait pas enseigné, je ne serais pas là. Et je vous traduis aussi l'expérience que j'ai eue aux générations futures. Mais le basket était pour moi une passion. J'aurais bien aimé être à Dakar, pouvoir être disponible à chaque entraînement avec l'équipe de l'AS Douanes, mais c'est impossible. Parce que j'ai un devoir aussi qui m'attend au village. Donc je fais de mon mieux. Lorsque je suis au village, je fais un maximum de cours. Et lorsque je suis libre, je vais à Dakar pour connaître mes entraînements et faire ma passion. Pour quitter le village, il faut faire appel à des motocyclistes qui parcourent 27 km pour aller au niveau de la ville. Je quitte là-bas, je prends les bus. Après 6 heures voire 7 heures de route, j'arrive à Dakar. Le soir, je vais à l'entraînement. Je me dis que tout le temps, une personne, où que tu puisses être, que tu sois au fin fond du Sénégal, il faut toujours croire en soi. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de mes collègues qui ont, lorsqu'on les a affectés au village, très loin de Dakar, ils ont abandonné carrément le sport qu'ils faisaient parce qu'ils n'avaient plus de temps. Ou bien ils se disaient que, voilà, maintenant c'est la fin de ma carrière parce qu'on m'a affecté. Jamais au plus grand, jamais, je n'abandonnerai le sport favori que je pratique. 400 km, c'est très difficile.
It sounds strange to say that name.
Quand vous jouez dans les championnats comme au Sénégal ou bien en Afrique, on ne te prête pas une très grande attention, surtout particulièrement au Sénégal. Donc, la balle nous a offert une opportunité, c'est quoi? De pouvoir vivre le basket comme les joueurs NBA le vivent. L'Afrique est en train de monter à grands pas géants. La population, elle est jeune et qui ont de l'ambition. Ils ont tout simplement besoin d'être encadrés. Je pense très bien que l'Afrique continuera à grandir. Et c'est ce que nous souhaitons, avoir de bons dirigeants qui nous mènent de l'avant, qui nous poussent, qui nous montrent la voie pour que l'Afrique puisse se développer.
Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair.
As president, whenever I traveled to Africa, I got an opportunity to see how impactful sports programming can be. Sports is a way to connect. It's a way to give young people opportunity, and sports is big business. But there are some very particular challenges to developing a sports league in Africa. You've got 54 countries, a vast geography. Most folks don't realize you could fit 2 or 3 United States in Africa and still have a lot of land left over. This is not a small place. In a lot of countries, you don't have the facilities that you typically take for granted in wealthier countries. But what the Basketball Africa League is going to do is to build an architecture and an infrastructure that could really develop the potential of the game on the continent. And the talent is there. And so we think that the future is bright for the sport. And we also think that the future for Africa is bright if we have enough people who are investing and taking an interest. And Amadou is somebody who is committed to doing it right.
In 1998, I was a talent scout for the Dallas Mavericks. It was great. I had a lot of input, traveling all over the place and being with the team, learn as much as I could. But I think after 12 years, there was the sense that there was something that I think was bigger than everything that I was doing at the time. I saw a vision and a belief in the transformative power of sport to serve the purpose of spurring socioeconomic development for Africa. The opportunity to come back and to start something that's never been done before, it was more important than anything else I could achieve.
He had the opportunity to go be a general manager and head of basketball operations, and he could have run a team at any point along his career. But this is his home, and basketball gave him an opportunity to give back to the continent where he grew up. This is his life's work. Amadou Gallo Fall is really the godfather of basketball on this continent.
I remember meeting Amadou early in the journey, but I just remember holy shit, this guy's really, really special.
He is passionate about building the sport of basketball in this continent and using the sport to get an education and giving young men and women the opportunities that other places in the world have. He started Seed Academy in 1998. He didn't have a ton of money, but he put up court and he said, I'm going to do something for my country. I'm going to invest in my children.
We spent decades focusing on making the game accessible. wanting to get more young boys and girls to bounce the ball across the continent. And that's what all the initial work was all about, just introduce the game.
Allez, amusez-vous bien, hein?
The vision for Amadou's been very clear from the beginning, and that's empowering young Africans. Basketball is the vehicle. I think he is just trying to make a difference, and that's why he's successful. Success is viewed differently in Africa. In America, it's all about what you have and your house and your car. In Africa, it's not like that. The man's success in Africa is how much he can help others. So for me, Amadou is one of the richest people I know.
From our earliest meeting, he wanted to understand what would be necessary at the NBA in order to move our attention more towards Africa and for the opportunities there. And he wanted to talk to me about how we could do a better job promoting our African players. Let's look at NBA players who were born in Africa and players where one of their parents was born in Africa. When we did the math, roughly 10% of our players were African.
I feel proud that I have players on my team that are from Africa, that grew up in Africa and tell the story of Africa. Guarantee you, there's 100 LeBrons, Giannis's, Kumingas, Preciouses, Pascals walking around this continent. But they never played basketball. They're physically built, they're strong, and they've never had the opportunity because the sport never came to them because of a lack of infrastructure, lack of encouragement. In terms of moving the continent forward with basketball, Amadou and I really aligned in a huge way. We're not the only ones that had dreams of building a league, but we were the only ones that have the platform to do it.
The driving forces behind the league were largely Amadou Gallo Fall and Masai Ujiri. There was an opportunity to create a league. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but they were very forceful. We made an agreement that we needed to put together a plan. And let's not spend too much time trying to work out every detail, but we just got to get going here. Amadou, Mark Tatum, Masai and I talked about what would be the next step in the development of basketball in Africa, and that is the creation of a league. And so what we're here today to tell you about is we will be announcing this afternoon, in partnership with our federation FIBA, a basketball league in Africa beginning roughly a year from now, next January, with 12 clubs. So thank you to all of you.
The response was instantaneous and magical. It was like that day around the globe, the NBA is putting a league in Africa.
There's no structure, no nothing, no plans. It was something people had talked about, but to make this announcement, guess what? Now you got to do it. The challenges are real. There's infrastructure. How many teams are you going to have in a league? All these countries have their rules, their regulations, their standards that is different.
The African continent is this incredible place, but incredibly diverse. 54 different countries, over 1 billion people. So different in terms of language, skin color, food, culture, everything that you can think of, but everybody still feels African. So when the NBA is putting a league in Africa, you want to make sure that there is a diversity in representation at the league level.
So the thought was, rather than try to create a league from scratch, let's take existing clubs on the continent, and in essence, let's create a tournament of those clubs, a Champions League type setup of the very best clubs in Africa.
So you have 12 teams from 12 different African countries. Teams get to choose their own players, and so the way the roster makeup is, there are 12 players, and 8 of them have to be homegrown, and then 4 players can be foreign. Out of that 4, 2 can be from anywhere, and then the other 2 have to be from the African continent.
Avant même que la compétition, la balle ne démarre, on a joué des matchs amicaux. Mes ambitions sont, comme tout joueur, pour jouer au haut niveau. La balle nous a offert d'autres motivations. Ou maintenant, tu es champion du Sénégal, maintenant tu te heurtes aux champions du Mali, l'Angola, Nigeria, etc. Pour pouvoir savoir carrément tu es à quel niveau.
West African teams are very strong, and Senegal as a country has the second most tallest people in Africa after South Sudan, and you can see that in their talent, especially in the game of basketball. Very athletic, so they like to run the ball, they run the flow, but also they're very skillful. And if you look at Mamadou Diop, he's a hard worker. He's efficient, he will shoot the ball, he will drive, he will pick those rebounds, and basically he's a good team player.
Lorsqu'on faisait le classement général, on avait classé la Douane comme étant la 12e équipe sur 12. Ça, déjà, c'est une source de motivation.
طفنزرها ستايل ستات كتير عالم بايل ستار زي حماية مايل من فوق صحرا تسأل ده بجد ولا بحر على نوت سايفوني في سحر فلو ما بتحرقش كلمة
Egypt, they're talking about a big nation, more than 100 million people. Zamalek is one of the oldest clubs in Egypt and on the African continent. It's about 110 years old and speaks about a deep culture of people who care about each other. But also it's looked at as the club of the elite people, you know, the noble people in society from way back. Looking at this team, it's quite a good setup. You have some national team players there. Anas Mahmoud, who is a 7-footer, very, very important player for Egypt. He's played college basketball in the US. Then he played in the summer league.
Anas Mahmoud, shot blocker at 7 feet.
But I feel that since that time, 3 years down the road, he's matured. He's still looking for that one opportunity. And he still has a chance to go and play in the NBA.
Is that how you stand in the lifts all the time?
You know, some lifts are bigger than others. When you're 2 meters and over, it's kind of a struggle.
I can't wait for the ball to be able to gather all these different playing style, different teams and different cultures. Everyone is prepared 100%. Everyone has been, preparing and practicing and they're getting ready, and everyone is ready to put it all on the floor. You are at a big stage, representing not just your club, but also your country. You're representing your people, your family. I just want to win it all.
We do have the talent. Walter Hodge, he's our point guard. He's a funny dude, crazy. He can play. Even on the court, he's always messing with people, He's funny. I love him.
I grew up in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I started 2010.
Hello, my friend.
NBA was always my dream, but when I was in college, I didn't do anything to chase that. So soon I finished, I was like, now I will dedicate everything for myself and what I have to do to be a pro.
Here comes Hodge in full flow, hangs it high, oh my, what a finish.
I started in Poland, I played there for 3 seasons. Then I went to Spain, I played in Italy for a year. I played in France for a year, and then I went to Lebanon for 3 years. But everybody was talking about this ball, and it would be in Africa. Me being from Puerto Rico, I never experienced the continent. I never had a chance until I went with Zamalek.
This is a tournament. We will go white. You watch? We will go white, and then we will see in the process if we do a line of red or something.
Everywhere I go, I'm trying to do something just for the fans. So sometimes I use my hair for that. You know, I do different colors, and the fans go crazy, you know, and they appreciate the job that you do for them.
Walter is the guy that does everything. He's a leader. He's a great player. And I think we needed that on our team, starting from the beginning of the season. We needed 2 or 3 guys to become the leaders. And I think Walter did just that.
Walter is the kind of player you want on your team. He's good energy, positive vibes, and when he walks into a room where the other Zamalek players are, all of a sudden they light up.
I don't look the same every day, my friend. You know, when your wife see you, look, when your wife see you, she'll be like, what the fuck? When they see me, they be like, okay, every week is different, you know?
I think those guys in Cairo, they take care of me, you know, like they help me a lot because, you know, I think African basketball is just more physical and a little bit more athletic. But you cannot teach energy, and Mohab got all the energy from defense to offense, the transition, and he's not scared, you know. And this kid is 17.
Mohab Yassir is like the baby face of the first edition of the BAL. This young kid who's coming through as the player that everyone is watching out for. All the NBA scouts have taken some notes and they're saying, okay, we'll keep an eye on him. So he knows the BAL is a proper stage for the world to be introduced to Mohab Yassir and to see what his talent is about.
When he came to the team, I was like, Mohab, listen, you got a great opportunity to become a legend, you know, like you got the best guys to learn from, you know, just see how we play, how we go about our business, you know, and that will help you to become a pro, you know. And he's a great kid, and I know he will be something serious if we do the right things.
Good.
But because the pandemic came, because I didn't know what to expect, but I know everybody in Egypt is happy for us to be there and do something special.
The pandemic is obviously a challenge, and along with challenges come opportunities. The challenge is you spend over a year planning, getting everything ready to go, and we started to, hear things start to come down, and, the world was starting to close in. The initial plan was to have a model where you took this to 6 other countries, 6 other cities. So then we wanted to pick one location and make sure that we launched. And identifying that location on the continent where we could prove to the world that the world is going through this big challenge, but Africa was actually handling it better than most. It's very rare for that narrative to be that Africa is leading the way in anything, even though it is in a lot of things, but the narrative is not there. And so we felt the platform that we have with the BAL was to be able to put a spotlight and showcase that. And Rwanda was really the perfect place to do that.
President Kagame has been a key figure when you talk about leadership on the continent, and a face that you actually need, somebody that's listened to, and where he's taken that country to where it is now is great. I think President Kagame's vision of developing sports with business is incredible.
And the 65th NBA All-Star Game is underway. And Aldrin could not take advantage. It's a 4-on-1. DeRozan with a vicious slam.
I invited President Kagame to the All-Star Game in 2016 in Toronto, and I'll never forget that day when he sat down and he put his head down, and I thought it was because of how cold it was in Canada. And I went to him and I said, "Excellency, what's wrong? You okay? Is it too cold outside?" And he asked me, "How much does it cost to build this arena? How do you create this kind of atmosphere on the continent?" And he started thinking big. This thing is visionary.
in Africa. We don't have infrastructure. Where I come from in Uganda, the indoor facility that we use was built in 1954. So when you see a country like Rwanda that is investing millions of dollars, you have to give it up to the leadership in this country. The commitment and the vision that they have is what Africa needs.
In literally less than a year, that arena was built.
This is a platform for all Africans to see. We need to have more like this. You go to every arena in the NBA and they're packed and there's business around them. That's where the ecosystem starts to revolve. And this is what that arena is going to do. This is what it means to the continent. Nothing less than this to go forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Basketball African League.
Africa, as we know it, I want to compare it with the fact that Africa produces gemstones, all produced here, exported in their raw form, processed outside, added value, and then brought back to Africa. But this Basketball Africa League, what it produces is a process where value is added to African talent. Processed here, developed here, and then exported with the highest value.
For so many years, hundreds of years, with colonialism on the continent, so much was taken away from the continent in terms of growth. So while there was an industrial revolution across the West in Africa, we're losing our best talent to go and work in plantations, to go and build factories, to go and build other economies. And that had a huge impact on the continent, not just in terms of workforce, but also in terms of mindset. So now you have, for the last 50 to 60 years, African countries and African people trying to find themselves, trying to find who they are. So it's a whole mindset change to just build this league that the continent can be proud of.
I am Gallo Fall. I play for Patriot Basketball Club from Rwanda. I never thought I would be a professional basketball player because when growing up, basketball was not a big game in Rwanda. So I chose to have two jobs. Outside of basketball, I'm a professional accountant. I don't know which was the main job, but for me, even if it was not paying well, your mind is always thinking about basketball. Man, I love this game.
We call him Cap. I don't know if I've called him Aristide one time since I've been here. But what a deeply reflective, intelligent, sincere human being.
What people don't know about Cap, man, this guy is a legend. He has 9 national championships here in Rwanda. Captain national team, captain for Patriots. Great leader, great person, you know what I'm saying? Very composed at all times, very confident. Man, hats off to him, man. I appreciate every moment that he's around us.
You're always thankful when players cross your path in your career. You never know how that's going to happen. He's one of the guys, I got to get a picture with him before it's over, and that picture's going in a frame because he is a special, special human being.